It's a new day and I've got these panels here. I used my Gel Magic on them yesterday to add in the stiffener here. And then over here on the transom, I got the seat in. Remember I had the center line string set up so I could figure out where center line of the hole was. But when I was measuring, I had to, the other thing I like about these, making these templates before I make the final cut, is I'd had it off, I'd measured for a vertical instead of an angle. I always like to have an angle on these things because it makes it easier if I want to lean back on them. So I had to recut out this guy. And you can see here the lower line I had. That's it, and I got these guys all made, and there's one more thing. Let me go reset up on what I did yesterday. I took some, like I showed you, I had my other pieces of wood I'm going to paste and joint together. Be sure you got plenty of plastic to cover everything up. So now I've got a piece of wood, and yes, I need to clean my bench up. It's a mess. So I just need to clean up this joint. So now I've got a piece of plywood that's big enough to put these on. You can see down here I wouldn't have been able to do that. Now I need to go ahead and lay these out and see which one is the most efficient. And probably this way will be the most efficient. So let me go ahead and clean this up and get these guys laid out. I don't know if I will. That's probably strong enough. Gummel's it's an experiment on a pacing joint, because I'm going to put a little strip of glass cloth on the inside, and then I may on the outside do a full layer of glass that cover the whole thing, and I may do that on the front too. Time will tell. Things are up in the air. Once I had this seam cleaned up, then I was able to bring over my other cutouts. I'd made these for both sides, but I also had made solid ones, and then I took my pencil and just outlined it all the way around, and then I like to take a straight edge and come in and just make certain that everything is straight. And then I'll use one of my little mixing cups here as the radius for the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these out now and see how well they fit. It doesn't, a little bit of gaps can be in there, and I mean, you don't have to get completely tight. The Gel Magic will fill any holes when we do the jump stitch, and then I'll probably do a little bit with mixing in a cup just to get them in place, and then I'll break out a tip, and then I'll 100% all the panels as I put them in. And yeah, except maybe for the bow nose I may have to do two nozzle or waste two tips on that, unless I have the hatches in time. I might, I've got a little bit of video clips on some experiments I did with using fillet material to join a couple pieces of scrap and some fairing compound to join a couple, and then I made a little sample of a pacing joint, butt edged and then glassed on both sides, and I was really impressed with the strength of that pacing joint. So when you going this way, now I don't know how. I need to do some tests to see how a pacing joint would react to this kind of motion from the long edges of the panels side to side like this, as opposed to flexing like that. So, onward and upward. And another thing I like about this jaw horse, I was able to take that seat, that movable seat I had, was really heavy duty, and jam it, put it in the jaws there and clamp down on it. Now I can use it as a table to cut out all my little side pieces. So let me go ahead and do that. I mean, it's not, you just got to be careful and stay inside the lines, or on the line. Well, I guess I can show you one cut. I got my little Japanese draw saw, and it actually is, it's a Tajima, made in Japan, and replaceable blades. I get them in the local hardware there. It's a little more manageable. These things are indispensable. By the time you set up for a table saw or a band saw, you've got them done with these little hand saws. Looks like I'm going to be using the 2-inch tape I had. So scope it out to the lines. I drew some lines here just to give me an idea where I'll line the tape up at. This is going to be on the inside, so I guess it's no big thing. I think I mixed up too much silver jet. Like I said before, just don't worry about, don't put it off, just jump in and do it. Just takes a second. And I don't really, with my little cups here with my lines on them, I get pretty good results on correct proportions. I've never really had a batch go bad, other than when probably my very first batch, and I made too much. I've never really had a problem with a mismix. I knew I could say it. Just go ahead and let it out. Probably use some of this other excess just to, because all these panels need to be epoxied on the inside and along their edges. You want to seal off those grains to stop the rot. Otherwise, even your marine grade plywoods are not impervious to rot. And then that wet out good. And I can't stress enough the using a good flex tip putty knife, not the stiff one, but the flexible one. And then keep sandpaper around so you can rub it off. And get really nice thin coats of epoxy on here. A little bit goes a long ways. come back and paint that. Let that drain out in there. Yeah. Schmutz. And look for thick spots and thin them out. Just gives you a better coverage. You can see how far that's going. I've used plastic squeegees, and using the plastic squeegee I wouldn't have gotten half of this coated. Rubber is the same thing, it just doesn't work. Whereas this metal putty knife really gets it thinned out. Once you got a good coat, go ahead and knock down any ridges you have here. There. Clean off your tools, and we're done. Now that I have the clamps off, holding this on, this has been gel magicked onto the plywood, and I've set my, got some other pieces of plywood here clamped up to the front one, the one that's already mounted, and I measured off 11.5, because remember we're going to have that offset in here, make it a little easier to fold in some tape in here. I'll probably tape it because there are stresses on the hole in this part. I'll go ahead and tape it. Got 11.5, 11.5. I've already done this, and then check for vertical. Come along and sand out on either side of this probably about an inch, get her down to mostly wood. And I'll use my what do I do with it? Oh, I use the multi-tool to get that. Let me go ahead and do that. No use in watching that.